By the end of this, you will have a presentation for your year that looks like this. Class is in session. Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Catherine. I'm kind of a mess, but I'm also pretty organized. And that's what I'm here to help you with today. If you're like me and you're multi-hyphenate, you probably have a lot of goals and things that you want to achieve every single year, and January can be kind of disappointing as you try to sift through all of these different ambitions and try to make sense of it all and try to like give yourself a sense of direction. Trust me, I get it. A few years ago when I was stressing about this, I had a revelation and I decided to get everything out of my head and organize it in a way that inspires me and is visually appealing, and that would make me want to return to it throughout the year to motivate myself. So I have my fake glasses. These are blue light, but really just wear them because they help me feel like I'm getting things done. Huey! And my Ina Garden t-shirt. You know, she wrote a book. She came out with a memoir really recently. And actually, it applies to what we're talking about because it's called, Ina Garden, it's called Be Ready When the Luck Happens. That's really like what I'm trying to set myself up for. What did I read something, or I watched something the other day where they were like, be stubborn about your goals, but be flexible with how you get there. So that's what this is. The kind of vision board that I make is somewhere between just an image collage and actual measurable goals. It's somewhere in between. It's more of a presentation. So let's make our vision presentation. So I'm gonna show you how I do mine. You can do this however you want, but if you wanna do it exactly like me, I'm gonna tell you all the tools that I use and everything, and hopefully that helps you. So to start, you'll need 3 things. 1, Notion. That's what I use, but you know what? You can use anything. You can use a piece of paper if you want for this portion. A Pinterest account, okay? And then Canva to actually like make the presentation. I use Canva because it has really good templates that I can just drag and drop. Hello? I can just drag and drop the assets. And it's really easy to use, but like also I'm pretty sure Google Drive has presentation templates if you'd rather use that, or you can make your own in Photoshop, whatever you want to do. So I'm gonna insert, I guess, screenshots for you guys of what my Notion looks like. I have a tab on my Notion called Annual Goals. And on this tab, I have pages for every year that I've done this, so since 2022. I create a tab at the beginning of each year called Brain Dump. And usually I will start adding to this even before the beginning of the year. So I started adding to my 2025 Brain Dump towards the end of last year when I knew that I had goals coming up, visions coming up that I wasn't really gonna be able to start on until 2025. So this Brain Dump is just anything and everything that you can think of that you want to achieve in the year in question. Just freely allow yourself to add to it. It doesn't have to be all in one sitting. It can be anything that occurs to you over the period of 2 weeks, for example. If you want to spend the next 2 weeks until February or whatever thinking about what your goals are for the rest of the year, you can do that. I just think it's better to take the pressure off and really like sink into yourself and journal and dream and just write down anything without any judgment and without worrying about like the specifics. I actually don't really care about specifics that much at all during any of this because this is about a vision board. It's not really strategy. It's like constructive visioning. Does that make sense? So on my 2025 vision board started out as just like a crazy mess. But once you have your crazy mess, then you can kind of like break it down into categories. So I have done a pretty good job of this so far. Of saying, okay, like I went through and I mean, I thought of like 300 things. Like it was like, it's an exhaustive list of everything that I want to do, from like how I want to feel, places I want to go on vacation, parts of my life that I want to romanticize, or like maybe I want to journal more, or I want to work out more, or I want to do this type of working out. And then I even, for all of my like content goals and my like personal finance goals, I've got a million different dreams that I've concocted. So of your crazy list, you'll try to like organize them as best you can. So I have my list broken down into these categories, and maybe this will help you if you want to use these same ones. I have personal development, which includes daily routines and rituals, stuff like reading more books, creating a proper weekly schedule for myself, rituals like maybe going to church every now and then, taking myself on artist dates, journaling, meditation, long walks. That to me is considered a spiritual practice, okay? Then I have business admin. So that includes financial planning, opening up an IRA, creating digital systems for myself. Like I want to do a big digital declutter. I've been working on that, but it's like a huge undertaking. And my professional presence, like my website and my copywriting portfolio. Then I have my content section, which I have not organized at all, because that includes everything from the podcast I've worked on, this YouTube channel, TikTok, if it's still around by the time, this video goes up, Instagram, all the things that I want to improve on, starting a newsletter, do I want to start a Patreon? Like I've just dumped it all in here, and I haven't really broken it down into categories yet. And that's going to be a little bit more granular. This would be the point at which I would organize that. I've just been procrastinating it because I by far have the most number of bullet points under the content section, because I just am feeling like I really want to work on that this year. I have another section called mainstream entertainment. That's another one I haven't organized enough, but that is, my acting, my screenwriting, anything involving submitting to management. If I want to do any work behind or in front of the camera that doesn't have to do with social media, goes in that category. And then live performance, which is just another thing that I work on. So all that stuff related to career, I kind of still need to organize, but let's pretend I've got it all organized already. Then I have a health and fitness section, which includes working out. I want to do more bar classes. I want to do Pilates. My dental health. I want to start using a water pick. I want to do teeth whitening. I have a nutrition section, which specifically has to do with my gut health, the biodiversity of my gut, and the diversity of the plants that I'm eating every week. I want to focus on my cholesterol. So I wrote all that down. Fertility, I'm in my 30s, so that's something I'm going to be focusing on this year. And then I have a section called image. So that has to do with like, do I want to change my hair this year? How do I want to change my style? I don't have a ton of goals in that area because that's something that I've really, really honed over the last like couple of years. So I'm not really going to do like a major overhaul on my wardrobe or anything, but I did put on here that I want to wear heels more, which is like totally stupid and superficial, but at the same time, like I love this brain dump because you can put like, I want to wear earrings more, and it can be just as important to you as going to the OBGYN. Like, they're not competing with one another, you're just directing your life. And then I have a social life section, which includes hosting, which I want to do a little bit more of this year, going out, which I want to do a little bit more of this year, and travel, family planning and partnership, which includes anything with my relationship that I want to work on. And then I have a hobby section as well. So that is where I keep kind of like all the stuff that I like to do that I am not worried about monetizing. Like I want to go horseback riding at some point this year. I want to practice sewing and maybe even make a quilt because I have all this fabric to do that. I've been wanting to learn to crochet. I really like collaging. Come on, good boy. So I wrote all that down and I organized it. Am I gonna get all of this done in 1 year's time? No, in fact, a lot of the things on this list I moved over from last year's list. And that's one of the reasons why I like using Notion, is that it's all digitally archived and I can access these things really easily from previous years or previous months or previous seasons and copy and paste them into future years or check them off when I'm done with them, reorganize them if I want to, or even change the goals along the way. Lots of times you do change your mind about what's important to you. Once we have our brain dump and once it's relatively organized, I will create a Pinterest board for whatever year it is. So I have one for 2025, and I just start going through all of those things on my list and searching for images that have to do with the things on my list. And this is just simple. Probably a lot of the things on your list are already going to be on your Pinterest home feed because it's stuff that you're interested in. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you have to get a little bit more literal with it and like actually search those things. Like I've searched on Pinterest acting class aesthetic before, and as corny as that sounds, it really does show search results that I am interested in. Pretty pictures of people taking acting classes or writing scripts or things that I really want to work on. It's motivating to see an aesthetically pleasing image of someone doing something that you want to do, like writing songs, or what else do I have on here? I have meals that look healthy and delicious. You know, pictures of women in bookstores, or the interior of apartments decorated like how I want to decorate this place. On pictures of New York City because I live here and I have for a long time, but I want to go out and explore more, and that's something that's on my list. So just really get creative with it. And this part is just fun because you can just do this from bed. Like I've been doing this for the past month, and in a way it's kind of like, yeah, procrastinating, but it is also really valuable, I think, to have an image in your mind of what you want your life to look like and feel like, because it's not just about the way that something looks, it's also about the way that your life feels. I mean, that is the most important thing, is how does your life feel? So really choose images that produce a feeling when you look at them that is equivalent to how you want to feel about your life. And it can be unrealistic, by the way. Like, I doubt I will get cast in something this year that will give me like a trailer on a Hollywood movie set. But if I want to inspire myself to take more acting classes by putting a Hollywood trailer on my vision board, that's what I'm gonna do. Sorry, I'm getting distracted because I'm petting my cat and he's shedding so much for some reason. It's just really fucking gross. Okay, this part is the part of it that's similar to a traditional vision board that we think of, which is like the collage that people make, where they're like, oh, I want, like, you know, I'm gonna put a picture of nature, or I'm gonna like choose a word from a magazine that like speaks to me. And that is really valuable as well. But I like to be just a little bit more type A about it, just because as much as I think like a vague feeling can be motivating, sometimes like the more specific you get with like your search terms and the things on your list, I think the closer you'll get to what you really want in life. It just helps you kind of take all of the figurative emotional stuff out of your brain and turn it into something literal kind of on the page. So that's what we're working with. We started with words, now we have images, and then step 3 is when we're gonna put it all together. If you have Canva, the next step is to find a presentation template that you wanna use to create this deck, or this like PowerPoint basically, that has all of your goals and images and everything kind of like put in one presentation. I like Canva because you can like select adjectives to find something that is in your aesthetic style already. It's already like pre-designed, and then your job is to just drop in your own images where they've put placeholder images and change their text to your text. And you don't have to spend time like creating fonts or whatever, but if you wanna do that, go ahead and do that. It's just, I'm not a graphic designer, so I love a template. I spent forever clicking through this year to find a template that I wanted to use because I just couldn't find something that was exactly like the vibe I was going for this year. I ended up selecting this one, and I thought it felt kind of like edgy and fun and like New York City, rock and roll even, kind of 80s. So I picked that one. I'm going to customize it. I've already started, but it's a work in progress. So here's the first page of mine and how I have customized it for this year. So far, I'm obsessed. I didn't even make this collage at the bottom. Like, someone else on Pinterest had made a collage, and I had this collage saved to my Pinterest vision board, so I just decided to throw it on there. And so you can kind of see, like, it started as this, I turned it into this, and that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of the slides. But for now, you can see that this is just a template. This is just something that someone else had made on the rest of these pages, and there are placeholder images here that were put here by the person who designed it. Because mine is still a work in progress and I'm hoping to get done this week, I'll show you last year, because last year's is really cool. So for last year, I used this template. I modified it to this, and I called it my master plan. So like page 2, I created a roadmap for myself. You don't have to do this, but sometimes I like to break up calendar quarters and say, oh, this is what I am like, this is going to be the theme for Q1, the theme for Q2, the theme for Q3, and the theme for Q4. So that's how I broke it out last year. And then I used these pictures because I wanted to motivate myself to shoot for the stars and be on a Times Square billboard if that's something that I wanted someday. And it is. So projects, this is where I went in and I said, okay, I'm gonna break down all of the topics from social media to traditional media and all of the things that I want to work on, and kind of like put those together in one place. So I created a collage here on this page using bullet points from my Notion brain dump and pictures from my Pinterest that had to do with those bullet points. So last year, a really big goal for me was to get headshots, which I did do. I took acting classes, which was really important to me, auditioning classes. I didn't really audition or book anything last year, and I did not get representation. So again, like, there are gonna be things on here that don't necessarily fall into place all in one year, but you're putting it there as kind of your North Star. It's like, in order to achieve anything, you first have to know what you want. So don't feel bad putting like huge goals on here. Like Zendaya winning an Emmy, like I wasn't planning on winning an Emmy in 2024, but I wanted that energy to motivate me to go through life as though I were a future Emmy winner, okay? But what I was gonna need to do in order to win a future Emmy was go to class. And so I did do that. I did take headshots. I did spend time on some film sets last year, so I'm proud of that. I'm a writer as well, so this is my writing page. I included pictures of, you know, people writing. This is an excerpt from Sofia Coppola's Instagram that I had saved on my Pinterest, and I wrote down like names of all my projects. I'm gonna like blur them out because I need to maintain some sort of privacy about the creative stuff that I'm doing. I just am a little superstitious in that way. So I am a professional writer. That's what I do for my day job, is that I'm a freelance writer. So I had the goal, make money writing, write every day, you know, study my scripts. Like, these are things that were huge goals, and I don't know, it just like, it really motivated me to live my life as a writer performer every day to create these slides. And then the third slide was music, and that's because I also play and write my own music. I wrote the theme song to my own podcast, which came out in 2023, and I made a TikTok promoting that, and I've played a lot more music on TikTok and Instagram since then, and these pictures of like hot girl musicians are like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is like my self-concept. This is what's really important for manifesting or goal setting or whatever you want to call it, is your self-concept. It's like, who am I? What do I want to be? And I really feel like the intersection of those images and words, when they come together, and you see them, at least for me, when I see them presented in this context, I'm like, yes, this is what we're working on this year. It's like a kickoff meeting for your life. And then this is my slide for my social media goals that I had last year. And I have now had my YouTube for 1 year, and I have 2,500 subscribers. I started at the end of 2023 with 0. So we've come a long way. We've still got a long way to go before I have 333,000 followers. But again, that North Star is there. I know what I want my life to look like, and it looks really similar to this. I have a slide for financial goals. If you have finance as a category, you can make that a page for you. Dang, I'm not a graph person, I'm not a math person. I'm hardly even good with financial goals, but I at least wanted to write things down that I worked on last year, or that I wanted to work on. I still need to do most of this stuff from last year, this year. I unfortunately don't prioritize money as much as I should. It's not something I think about very much. So again, like, we're writing things down, we're putting them in print in PDF form, okay, in order to remind ourselves that it is important to us. Some of this stuff we already know it's important and we just have to feel like we're going towards it. Some of this other stuff, we might not even think about it on a day-to-day basis. So we have to like physically put it on a list in order to remember it, or at least that's how I am. And then I created a values section because I felt like a lot of those like personal development, relationships, and all of those things, I felt like they kind of were not so much like concrete goals as they were values for my life. So I really, and you can do this too, look at your brain dump and the way that it's organized and just think about like what they have in common with one another, right? So last year, a lot of the things that I was writing down were not like concrete, tangible things. They were feelings, they were values, they were ways in which I wanted to live my life. So I made a whole page on my vision board called Ease of Life, okay? And I put a quote here. The most magnetic thing on earth is liking your own energy. I think that was just a quote I found on Pinterest, but that was like a big theme for me last year, was like, I wanted to like my energy on a day-to-day. I didn't want to feel like I was fighting with myself. I spent a lot of time feeling guilty in previous years about not working hard enough, or feeling like I was working really hard and I wasn't getting anything done, feeling like I was way too cluttered, or I just like, I couldn't put my finger on like what was bothering me internally. And I really wanted to empower myself to create systems to make my life easier. And even though I wouldn't say that I'm like a soft life person, I would say that I've been able to be pragmatic and proactive about solving problems for myself that don't need to exist. There are a lot of problems in our life that we cling to because we think they need to exist, but I am determined to find ways around some of those things because I don't think I need to be stressed and unhappy. Like for example, 2 years ago, I started taking antidepressants, and that would be one of the ways in which I really started like circumventing or dealing with, I guess, a problem that did not need to exist. And I think like, okay, before I go too much on a tangent, this is where like journaling comes in handy, because I wouldn't have even known that I needed to put these things on my brain dump if I hadn't done that inner work. So just know that like if there are parts of your life where you're like, something is off and I don't know what the solution would be, it's okay to leave that open-ended. And it's okay to make this, by the way, at any point during your year. It doesn't have to be in January. It could be at the beginning of spring. That's like the beginning of a new season. Or it could be in September, August, September, at the beginning of a new school year. That's a really good time to like put new systems in place for yourself. So it's iterative, okay? We're constantly going inward and then pulling things out and making sense of them, right? That's what this is supposed to be for. So the next page, I realized I wanted to do a lot of travel, and I still haven't done a lot of these things, but I did go to LA with Tyrone last year, and I did collect some souvenirs and go on some road trips, and we did go upstate. I went upstate twice last year, and so there were a lot of things that I made sure to do because I had written them down. I wanted to feel more in my body. Yes, 100%. Still a goal of mine for this year. I want to dance more. I want to take up space more. As an actor, and that's one of the things I've noticed that I really struggle with, and that I think holds me back, is like the inability sometimes to get out of my head and into my body. And so I put all of those in one category here. Enrichment, okay, enrichment categories, this, you know, hobbies, personal development, more cool pictures. And another thing too, like, you don't have to use Pinterest. If you have pictures from your own life or pictures from Instagram. Instagram is another way to collect inspiration that I think is really cool. And I actually made a TikTok recently about one of the ways I would use Instagram that is helpful in reframing, which is that I have a folder on there called Vision. A lot of times I use it for reframing jealousy. So when I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I think this happens to a lot of us, you know, you see people who are achieving things, or, you know, it might be someone you know, might be someone you don't know, a celebrity, something like that. But it's easy to feel that feeling of like jealousy and envy that, you know, it gives you this opportunity to really go, do I want to be a hater, or do I want to alchemize this feeling and go inward and find the root of where that jealousy comes from? And it's almost always from a desire to have that thing or achieve that thing. And so what I started doing was when I feel that feeling of jealousy or envy or imposter syndrome, or when I feel bad about myself because someone has something that I really, really want, I save that post on Instagram to a folder in my Instagram collections called Vision. So I have things in there, you know, like people hosting SNL or people being like, thank you for 1 million followers. You know, these things that like feel so far out of reach for me. And then it's easy to be like, ugh, you could really allow that negativity and that envy and that haterade to like poison the well from the inside. But I don't want to become bitter. I don't know. I think bitterness is a dream that's been calcified. I don't want to leave any dream untouched for too long. I'm too ambitious for that, and I think I'm too capable to let that happen to me. So I really try to get ahead of that feeling. And then also, you know, there's the unselfish way of looking at it, which is that like when you see someone achieving something, like just be happy for them, because if you're coming from an abundance mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset, like why shouldn't there be enough for us all to go around? But I think the first step towards alchemizing that type of negative energy is to really acknowledge where it comes from within yourself. So all of that to say, there are other ways to find inspiration for these dreams. I choose images from Pinterest because they've sort of been offered up, right, from whoever has posted them to be used in this sort of a way. I might feel a little weird like screenshotting a picture of something that my friend has done and putting it on a vision board. I don't know if that's exactly something that everyone should do or should be comfortable with, but if you want to take a screenshot of your favorite influencer and drop them in here, I don't see why you can't do that. So that is the end of my 2024 presentation, and I'm gonna be working on doing the same thing for 2025. And I think just to have like kind of some closing thoughts here, there are gonna be people out there who say like, oh, you know, you're just doing this as like a form of procrastination, and maybe that's true, but I am a very visual person, and having all of these dreams like inside my brain almost in this like liquid form that I couldn't comprehend fully, I could just feel it, was really, really overwhelming for me. And I remember when I was starting out at the beginning of 2022, I just felt like there was no way that my human brain was gonna catch up to all of the dreams and all of the feelings that I had inside that I was so deeply passionate about. And I decided to kind of give it a little bit of a corporate sprinkle, because as much as I'm not a corporate girl, I have always benefited from a little bit of structure in my life. So then what I will do, export to PDF once the presentation is all done, and then I put it in my Google Drive, and I like to embed from Google Drive to this page where my annual goals live. So on my Notion, it's always there. My vision board is always there. I can go every quarter or every month if I want to, and really just browse through and like open this presentation, sink myself into it, recenter, and go, okay, what do I want to work on right now? What do I want to work on this quarter? What do I want to work on this month? And then I can create new lists that are maybe a little bit more practical based on like what's going on in my life at that time, like what's going on my schedule, what am I really like passionate about working on. Like in 6 months, it might make more sense for me to focus on music than to focus on TikTok. While some people might say it's better to like stay the course, I prefer to follow my passions a little more fluidly. So I've created, I guess, this system as a way to gain clarity while still maintaining that sort of visceral inspiration, that really like emotional and artistic core. And then from month to month or week to week, I can go in and create more concrete, measurable, time-bound goals for myself that I can then put on like Google Calendar. And then what's really fun too is like at the end of the year, you can go through like your camera roll or your social media or whatever it is and like take stock and be like, wait, did my life feel similar to the vision? And almost every year it does, like down to the color palette. It's really crazy. Like I don't know how, but I really just think like sometimes all it takes is like speaking it into existence and things do start to fall into place. You know what you're attracted to and you go towards that thing. It's a natural human thing. So that's it. I tried to yap and get all this in before my camera battery died. if you make one of these things, let me know how it works for you. Maybe, you know, if you want to show it to me or something, I would love to see it, but no pressure. I think this is like literally for you. It's so you can feel good about how you're spending your time and feel like you're maximizing your time. If this doesn't resonate with you, that's totally fine too. My thing was I was having all this anxiety because I was getting older and I felt like I don't have enough time to do all of the things in life that I want to do. And you know, the problem is like, no matter how old I am, I always feel like that. I felt like that when I was 25. I felt like that when I was 18. So this system is not to imply that we need to be pursuing our goals in any particular kind of like linear way or in any particular way at all. You don't even need to have goals if you don't want to. You can pursue vibes. You can pursue energy. You can pursue feelings. Like those things are just as valid. But this is what works for me as someone who has multiple interests and is pretty much 50-50 creative and practical. So anyway, thanks for watching to the end. I hope you liked this. If you did, give me a little thumbs up, a subscribe, because there's gonna be more fun videos coming soon. And in the meantime, I love you, you're beautiful, and never forget that everyone is a princess. Shout out Paris Hilton. Bye.